to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? Happy Monday. It is a great day. It is May 20th, 2024. Man, I'm excited. Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Bovin. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. Appreciate it. Like I said, if this is your first time, they do a live show Monday through Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Each week, we cover a new state, bring on a new guest from that state, and we learn what makes them successful out in the field, learn what's going on the conservation side of everything out there as well. And it's nice to learn what is happening out there in the new state. So, and gives you kind of a little bit of a picture of what's happening out there as well. Some stuff that you might want to know before you actually go out and hunt that state. And we bring on some amazing guests. Like for tonight, we have amazing guests as well. We do have some major news. We finalized some stuff tomorrow. The producer is not here with me tonight. I want to say the stuff tomorrow when he's here with me. So I'm finally excited about that. It's been stuff in the making, and I if I could say it now, I would, but I don't want to disrespect my brother right there. So, anyways, another thing as well, we are part of the pro staff with Gilly Puck. So use the code GP10, GP10. You get a 10% discount off their products. So make sure you go check out the website. With that being said, I'll quick run a little ad for them. So go ahead and check out their website. Use the code GP10 and you get 10% discount off their stuff. I do ask, though, as the listener, the audience out there, to put your core in the slot machine. And what do I mean by that is to help share the show. We can't do it without your support and everyone that is out there sharing the show. Great love. I really much appreciate it. And thank you. Continue the hard work. We are close to 100 subscribers. I think we need maybe 7 or 8. So let me know what you think we should do once we hit 100 subscribers. Haven't figured out what we want to do yet. But like I said, thank you everyone out there. Make sure you put your cord in the slot machine. With that being said, it is episode 69. We're in Massachusetts, and we have another guest from Legacy Pursuit, Ty Forbes. Hey, brother, how's it going?
What's going on, Brett? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, thanks for coming on the show, brother. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
So, for everyone that doesn't know you, man, can you give a little background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Ty Forbes. I'm based out of Massachusetts, and I'm going into my fifth year hunting, my third full year, full throttle hunting. It's a family affair. I learned how to hunt from my dad at a later age, 29 years old, and the second I started to learn what the outdoors was about and whatnot, I've just become obsessed with it. I love it. My wife goes with me shed hunting, my daughter, my son. It's just a real family affair, and it's something I love to do, man. It's definitely saved my life getting into the hunting community. It's been great.
You said this is your 5th year kind of getting into hunting. What got you into hunting to begin with? Did you have like a mentor, like, hey, let's come try hunting with me?
Yeah, believe it or not, man, I never thought about hunting my entire younger life, my younger age. I never thought about hunting. It was nothing I was really interested in until I met my father for the first time at 29 years old. And he's a big time hunter and a big time fisherman. And really, to catch up on lost time, my way of spending a ton of time with my dad was to be out in the outdoors with him and going on scouting trips with him and hunting and, chatting in his man cave surrounded by his mounts and his deer mounts and fish mounts and his trapping mounts and the whole 9 yards. So I didn't get into hunting until later in life. And man, what started out as a way and an opportunity to get to bond with my father and catch up on lost time has turned into a complete passion of mine. And it's something that I do 365 days a year. I just absolutely love it.
Well, that's awesome to reconnect with your dad, and hunting is just an amazing time to connect with people and friends and family, everyone to get together and to be able to share the harvest of a deer. It's something to do with your family, and those memories for me are priceless. And I have a 4-year-old daughter, a 1-year-old son, and I can't wait to see them get their first deer for the first time. And I'm very looking forward to it. And it's awesome to hear that you're able to reconnect with them. And hunting has kind of been you guys' bonding time together. So it's awesome to hear. And I did notice Vital Ground Outdoors, they like to do a shout out for your brother. They said, "What's up, Tyler?"
Haha, Matt, tell Matt I said hello. He's one of my premier sponsors for Tall Pines Media and whatnot, a production that I had started last year. And man, I the support I have from Matt has been outstanding. He's I don't even consider him a sponsor. I consider him a very close friend of mine, and he's also a mentor. So what's up, Matt?
So for everyone that doesn't know, if you're listening to this on the audio, Ty showed me around his little studio in there. You gotta go check out his Instagram because he made some cool posts about it. His studio in there. Can you pan the camera to those deer again, just
Yeah.
so everyone that's watching can see these giant bucks? I mean, look at these giant bucks, man. I can't believe it. And they're out there in Massachusetts, correct?
Those deer all right there are Massachusetts the past 3 years.
Oh man. And this is only your fourth, fifth year getting into hunting. I can't believe it, man. I'm jealous.
Don't be jealous, man. I've had some good opportunities, and I've had some great mentors along the way that have certainly helped pave my way. And you know, I'm in the woods every chance I can get. I'm learning every chance I can get, whether it's e-scouting, watching YouTube videos, um, reading books. I'm just completely involved in the process of learning and becoming a better outdoorsman. So. Um, I'm just very humbled and blessed with the opportunities that I've had to find such quick success.
I remember talking to somebody, I can't remember who it was now, but they asked, what did I learn? Because when I used to work in law enforcement in my early part of my career, it was hard to get time off because seniority, everyone would want time off, and majority of everyone there wanted to go hunting in October and November. So I only had to hunt 2 days out of the week, so I couldn't burn my vacation time. So he asked me, what did you do in that time to kind of better yourself or gain more of an advantage? I said, I just read a lot, man. Reading, I mean, we have a lot of these podcasts now, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I think reading a good book about whitetail deer, and I think you can learn more through reading a book, and then to kind of listen to these podcasts and YouTubes, you can kind of get what you read and sink it in by watching and listening to what everyone has to say, not just off of this podcast, but any podcast you listen to.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, man, I didn't really dive into the whole podcast thing really, and really, I've been listening to podcasts probably for the last like year and a half. And it's been such a wealth of knowledge. I mean, there are so many podcasts out there that are just loaded with information and really great guys talking about tactics and mindset and the whole 9 yards. And I just try to take everything in and just be the most balanced guy I can be out there. So it's been really cool to listen to these podcasts. Antlered Up, the mobile dojo has been great. I mean, I listen to all these podcasts. Your podcast has been unbelievable. I mean, it's what I do, especially when I'm at work. I'm an overnight sergeant for a local PD here in Massachusetts. So a lot of times, you're cruising around in your cruiser, and on my downtime, I just been listening to podcasts. So if I'm not in the woods, if I'm not doing something to better myself as a hunter and an outdoorsman, I'm certainly taking the time to also listen to these podcasts any chance I can to.
I think because everyone knows I used to work in law enforcement for 7 years, and I think working in law enforcement's really helped me in my mental strength out in the woods because there's a lot of times, man, where you can just everything's going wrong, you just get beat down, and it just seems like you can't do anything right. But having that mental strength of I'm going to succeed is if you have that and you don't kind of crumble and you use that as a motivator and don't let it kind of break you, then I think the world is endless at that point in the hunting. You just gotta stay focused and don't let the small things bother you. Use those small moments in your hunting time of, like I said, where everything's going wrong. Use those as, all right, now I gotta figure out what's going wrong and how can I better myself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, as you know, being a police officer and whatnot, there's so many things that go into how they build you up as a police officer that really goes hand in hand with becoming a better outdoorsman, really just becoming a better individual, period. Having a willingness to learn, being a sponge, you know, slower is faster. I say that all the time. It's just taking your time, thinking things through before really acting and coming up with a plan and things along those lines. So I think, going to the police academy back in 2012 has really molded me into, the individual I am, and also being surrounded by the support that I've, been luckily able to have, has certainly helped me, just become a better overall person. And when you're doing better, you're more confident. And when you're more confident, success seems to follow that confidence as well.
Smooth is fast and fast is smooth. Am I right?
Right, man. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Slow is fast, baby.
We talked about tactics. And you brought up tactics. What are you doing that's making you successful out there in Massachusetts? I mean, you got a giant wall there of mature bucks. What are you doing? What are you looking for in e-scouting, and what are you looking for out in the field?
I don't really. I'm the last person to sit here and tell people how to hunt and tell people how to scout and, really think that I'm on this pedestal because I'm still learning every single day. Like I said, I'm going into my 5th year hunting, and I'm still learning a ton. But, the things that have worked for me really is just kind of dissecting things from the outside, the perimeter outside, and just working my way in. So, like for me, finding a piece of property, I'll start by e-scouting, whether I'm using Onyx or Spartan Forge, and really just honing in on these pieces of property that look good from an e-scouting level. Once I find something that looks good for me, that's when I'll dive into it and put boots on the ground and seek permission and the whole 9 yards. And then from there, it's kind of just, again, I'm working that outer perimeter, working in, no matter how big or how small that piece of property is. It could be 50 acres, it can be 7 acres. It doesn't matter to me. I always keep that same formula, to really dive into a piece of property to try to learn that property the quickest and most efficient way possible.
When you're looking on, because I'm assuming you start no matter what on e-scouting, then correct?
I would say for the most part, yeah, I always start e-scouting, and that goes hand in hand with, right after the season ends in, the end of December. I would say January and February is really my go-to months. I mean, I do a lot of shed hunting, and I don't even consider myself a good shed hunter. I find a lot of my sheds through scouting. So January, February is really my time to hone in on what I'm looking for. I'm a big bed hunter. I love hunting bedding. I like taking that aggressive, risky approach, in finding a certain deer that I want to go after, and then finding a systematic plan and strategic plan to go after that deer. But it all starts when the season ends for me. I know a lot of people may start later in the summer, end of July, early August, the whole 9 yards. But for me, the success that I've found has really stemmed with the hard work I've put in and boots on the ground right when the season ends.
It's probably a stupid question. Does it snow a lot out there in Massachusetts?
Man, it's supposed to snow a lot, but the past few years, man, we have not had that much snow, to be honest. We've had enough snow where it has certainly helped in the scouting way, because when there is snow, that's the perfect time to find these runs, these major runs and these beds, and it just makes things a lot easier. But yeah, we haven't really had a ton of snow lately. The past few years, it's been kind of a down year, and um, it's just the way it goes. You can never know what Mother Nature's going to do.
Right. Heck, I mean, here in Christmas in Michigan, there was mud. So
Hmm.
you never know.
Yeah,
The re-
we didn't even have snow on Christmas up here in Massachusetts, and you go further north like New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont. They certainly get a lot more snow, and there's some phenomenal hunters out there, and that's big woods. A lot of it's big woods up north, and they do a lot of tracking and the whole 9 yards. I, I got all the respect in the world for those guys. I'm not a tracker. Um, I've never had the opportunity to get into that type of hunting yet. I've kind of just done what has worked for me, and being here in a suburban setting in Massachusetts, it's mostly just small pockets. I'm hunting small pockets and going from there.
yeah, the reason I asked, because I say this a lot, and it's kind of changed my hunting tactics, is because when I first started hunting, I just went where my dad told me. He's all right, go hunt there, you'll see some deer. And then after time, I was like, man, I'm just not seeing anything. I feel like I'm losing out on my hunting stuff. I'm doing something wrong. So then I came up with the idea of, because our season ends December 31st. So then we had a huge snow coming in. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there in the woods. We had about 2 feet of snow. So my thought was, all right, I'm going to go out there. See there's deer are moving through, track them through that, and then kind of track myself on my Onyx and figure out where a lot of this stuff is happening. And what I come to find out was I learned my property a lot more. I learned more where these beds are. It's confirmed a lot of where I thought the beds were at. And I'm finding these trails where it's like, man, I wouldn't even consider moving through here. And then when I'm all done with that, I went back and I looked on my e-scouting, and I was like, oh, wow, I wouldn't even consider looking that part of the property. And I didn't even realize I was there. So it, I started doing that time and time again after the seasons. And it really helped me in my game of trying to figure out where these deer are moving to and from, how they're doing it. And I learned more of like the shrubs, the acorns, where they might be doing for that October, quote unquote, October lull. So that's where I was kind of getting with that question, was it sounds like you're kind of doing the same thing out there.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually, you hear that word October lull thrown out so much. I've been fortunate enough to not really have that issue. Last year I killed my first buck, which is the buck right here, October 3rd, and then the buck right next to it, the year before, it was October 7th. So I try to do my best to get myself in a position for an early season kill. I love studying these deer and studying their patterns throughout the entire summer, to really make a move that first and second week of the season. I really pride myself in trying to get as close to bedding as possible, um, early season, and just try to make a move. I just feel like when you're targeting a deer, that early season is really your best opportunity to get that deer. For me,
Yeah.
anyway. I mean, everyone's got a different approach, but my approach is certainly going after a deer early season, and using everything that I've learned throughout the summer, through trail cams and boots on the ground, and just studying the patterns of these deer. It's just what has helped me find the most success so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you right there. I mean, I feel like you learn these deer through the summertime, spring and summer. That first week, maybe the second week, they're still following those same patterns. So you feel like, all right, I got the opportunity to nail them right there. If I get past that second week, my mentality is, shit, now I got to figure out something different. They might be doing something completely way out in left field. I mean, heck, I said this before. I saw 5 to 6 140 plus deer on our property. Never seen that before, that many at that size. And then all of a sudden, October 1st came around. No one saw them. It's October 1st all the way to the end of October. and no one saw these deer. I was asking the neighbors, did you get a picture of this deer? Did you get a picture of that deer? Everyone's like, nope, never seen that deer. I was just like, man, I can't believe it, how these deer just turn nocturnal or just ghosts. But I like what your approach is, just trying to get it kind of somewhat done quickly at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, like for me personally, I try to find the thickest, most dense pocket of woods I can find, especially early season. I mean, those deer are going to be in those spots where I feel has the most vegetation for food and whatnot, and then they're kind of transitioning come October to that hot spot of white oaks. And those spots obviously change year by year. I mean, I have spots that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they were unbelievable with the oaks, and last year they were absolutely terrible. And you have to have that plan B, those other options, because not every property is going to, show the same potential each year. Year in, year out. They're all changing. They're all, for the most part. I have found that bedding um, typically will stay the same throughout the summer and that first week, second week. I feel like they kind of they find that comfort zone, especially in the suburban setting, and they kind of cling to that bedding area, and they'll stay there for most of the time. And a lot of times, you need to get permission in Massachusetts to really go after these bucks. So, there's a lot of door knocking campaigns and making phone calls and the whole 9 yards to get permission to hunt these properties where these mature bucks go, because they're seeking the small pockets where they feel the most comfortable and they feel like they can't be touched. So I feel like that is one of the hardest things to do in Massachusetts, is getting that permission. There's some pieces of property that I have where I had to secure 4 to 7 permissions just to be able to hunt that one property. So, if one of those homeowners said no, then that piece of property is off limits. So it can be hard with the regulations we have with the drawbacks from houses. It's 500 feet and the whole 9 yards.
The question I have now is, it's kind of like a two-parter. What are you doing to get these permissions? Then once you finally get it, how are you setting up on these small pieces of pockets that you call it? How are you setting up on these bedding areas?
Yeah. So for me, I've just kind of taken an authentic approach and just been myself when I approach these homeowners to seek permission. A lot of times I'll dress like a nice business casual look. I won't go up to a door and just, sit there in camo and ask to hunt their property. I take a systematic approach and a respectful approach. And a lot of times I just, pitch the opportunity to tell my story, give me the opportunity to explain who I am as a person, as an individual first, and hopefully gain a rapport with the homeowner, and then go from there. And, if you get told no, you get told no. I think the most important thing is not being shy of being told no. The way I look at it is, what's the worst that can happen? You get told no. All right, so you move on to the next piece. It is what it is. You can't be afraid to be told no. And that's kind of how I've pitched everything moving forward, and I've had quite a bit of success. And you'd be surprised how many people actually say, yeah, go right ahead if you're authentic in yourself and you tell a good story. And then once I get permission, that's when I dive in. And for me, like I said, I'm a big time bedding hunter. I personally like to be really like 85 yards out of primary bedding. I love staging areas. I love hunting staging areas, because a lot of times in the setting I'm hunting in anyway, and this can change across the state, this can change from state to state, but for me particular, in zone 10 and zone 9, where I'm primarily hunting in Massachusetts, you have a lot of these deer that they're bedding in a small pocket, but they may be feeding in a pocket across the road, or a pocket down the road. So you got to really kind of have a way to cut them off, because most of the time these mature bucks aren't leaving that pocket going to a food source until after dark. So you can sit there over food all day, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'll never say you're wrong, but I like to just take that risky, aggressive approach and try to cut them off and get them where they're most vulnerable and where they're most comfortable. And that's usually just outside of bedding in a staging area, because we have a ton of oaks around here in this suburban setting. There's a ton of oaks. So a lot of these deer, they can go 30 yards outside of primary bedding, and they got a food source right there where they're browsing and they're hitting some white oaks and whatnot until they go to their primary food source, which is usually in the dark.
Are you generally kind of hunting in the mornings or the afternoons in these areas? Or is it
I've
kind of based
had
off the area?
I've had most of my success in the evenings. Um, I just feel like once October hits, man, I've noticed that a lot of these mature bucks are getting back into bedding before sunup. And I think for me, yes, I'm aggressive hunter. I like to take risks, but I feel like going in the morning is a little bit too risky, because I found myself jumping deer, in the morning. They're getting back as I'm walking in, or vice versa, and I've just busted too many deer so far to really dive in there in the morning. I feel like my best success is to get in there midday for an evening sit while they're tucked away in their bedding area. As long as the wind is right. I'm only going in on a on a good calculated sit. The wind's got to be right, the thermal's got to be right, and I'm getting in there midday so I can take my time getting that close to bedding. Because if I'm getting in there at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the evening, I feel like it runs the risk of these deer already coming out and hanging out in that staging area. So I like to get in there midday. If I got to sit for 4 hours, so seeing nothing, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, slow is faster for me. So if I got to sit there and wait for a bit to get that, opportunity with the last 30 minutes of light, then that's what I'm going to do. And I've had most success hunting in the evenings. Most of my bucks have been killed in the evenings, at least where I hunt.
Yeah, that's where a majority of my bucks have been taken. I've kind of found some spots where it's like a transition area between a bedding and food source. That's where I kind of like to put my spot at. And this year, I've kind of been trying to see if how close I can get to these bedding areas without really being too close. And that's kind of where I've had my success. And I love evening sits. It seems like lately everyone's like, oh, you got to do these morning sits. That's when you're going to really see these big ones. Where it's like, all right, that might be great how you've hunted and where you hunt, but my area might be different than what yours is 3 counties over. So
100%.
I think you definitely, I mean, don't get me wrong, listen to what everyone's got to say, take what they're saying and try and see how you can apply it to yourself and your hunting area. But if you know your deer on your property, and I say your deer, but it's everyone's deer, but I'm saying like the deer generally on your property, then kind of throw a lot of that other stuff away and just adjust your game to your property and how the deer are moving. Because I've hunted mornings where it's like, all right, it should be a great morning, and rut, food, whatever, all this stuff. I think it's looking great. And I just had no success at all. All the success I've always had is at evening times.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, it starts in that January and February window. I mean, there's a lot of spots. I would say most of the spots I hunt, if I waited to after turkey season or June or July to dive in there, man, the vegetation and the green up is just it's overwhelming to really find the sign and to figure out what you need to do. But in January and February, everything's open. You're able to hone in and find out where those bedding areas are, those doorways, those entryways into bedding, and the exits out of bedding going into the staging area, and the corridors running from bedding to food source. So if I spend all my time in January and February, even March, honing in on a certain piece of property or pieces of property, that's when I'm putting my pins in, and that's when I'm really starting to strategize where I'm going to start deploying cameras. And those doorways in and out of bedding for me have been tremendous, because if you can find where they're coming in and out of bedding, you throw some trail cameras up on those entries and exits, you're going to be able to pattern these deer pretty good throughout the summer. I mean, I don't like going in to my spots, my primary spots throughout the summer. I hate going in there because you run the risk of bumping these deer out and educating these deer on, yourself going in and out and the whole 9 yards. So I try to I try to put all my eggs in the basket right when the season ends in January and February. And then I kind of take a break during turkey season. And then right after turkey season, I start deploying my cameras. And that's when I start inventorying these deer, finding a deer I want to target. And once I have that deer in mind or deer in mind, um, that's when I really start trying to pattern these deer in and out of bedding and what they're doing, where they feel comfortable, where they're vulnerable, and that has been the most. That's probably been the biggest part of my success is putting all that hard work in the first 2 months of the off season, and then kind of just watching and learning what these deer are doing on a daily basis throughout the summer without going in there and intruding.
Yeah, I feel like the more you sit out there and anywhere, you're gonna learn more of how they're moving around. And one year you might think you got it figured out, and the next year you're gonna do something different. And then year after year, you're gonna start figuring, all right, I kind of get a little bit of a picture of what's generally happening for the most part. And I like to point out here, Vital Ground Outdoors made a comment here saying, you definitely got to be willing to try something if you haven't. It's all a risk. And when you try it, it's either going to pay off or it won't. And that's a good point, is because I've said this before. I think I said it last week. This year, I'm going to try something new. I haven't heard a lot of people doing it. I don't think anyone's really doing it. I'm going to take one of my old hunting t-shirts and put it in like 3 of my tree stands and kind of like leave my scent up there in the woods. I want to see if that kind of lets them be less skittish with that scent around there. It might work, it might not. I gotta give it at least 3 years to kind of give like a true test of it. And uh, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that's something I'm willing to try. Like, it's hunting. I feel like you gotta try something new once in a while to really better yourself in a way.
Yeah, you can't have enough tools in the arsenal. You can't have enough, things that you're willing to do and willing to risk to try to see what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's just having a willingness to learn and being open minded and you know having that sponge factor. You know what I mean? Because there are things that if you never try, you're never going to know if they're going to work or not. Um, but like moving into this season, I have a target buck. Um, it's still super early, man. We're only in May here, right? Coming up on June, but this one particular buck, my wife found his shed this past shed season, and it's definitely a deer I'm going after. I want to go after, and I've had him on camera quite a bit in the month of May. Yeah, things can change in September and October, 100%, but he's already starting to show tendencies that I'm jotting down and I'm taking note of. I mean, he's doing a lot of the same things daily. And yes, they can change, but that's why I love that early season approach because once they get comfortable in the summer, they're not going to really change until they have to change. And you know, that's where I get excited. So this one buck, one of my mentors, Zach Robb, great hunter. He's out of Virginia, and we talk all the time. And that's a great thing about social media, man. I have some of my greatest friends are just guys I talk to on social media, and he actually loves hunting in the mornings early season. He loves it. So I've actually been picking his brain on his tactics and his approaches to what he does because it's completely 180 degrees different than what I personally do. I love that evening sit. I love going in the evening. He's had tremendous success going in the mornings, and you have to be able to kind of put your ego aside and pick people's brains, and that's how you learn and become a better hunter. So some of the tactics and strategies that he's been kind of mentoring on to me is probably potentially going to be what I do with this particular buck because he seems like he's that morning guy, man. So it's going to be exciting and different going into this season with that specific buck because I may have to go out of my norm, and I think that's super important too. Is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Once you get complacent in anything in life, that's when shit goes south. So for me, I like to never say never. So this year may be a completely different change of strategic planning for me for a specific buck. So we'll see where it goes. But you got to have a willingness to learn. You got to pick people's brains. You can't be afraid to reach out to people because you'd be very impressed with the amount of great people you meet.
Oh, of course. And what you said there reminded me of that meme where it was what's his name? From Parks and Recreations where he goes to the Lowe's or something and the guy goes, "Hey, can I help you find something?" And he says, "I know more than you." And he walks away. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I've seen that. Yep. Yep.
I think everyone don't ever get to, like you said, don't get complacent. Don't get to that point where you think, I know everything. I'm
Yeah.
Mr. Badass and this and that. I mean, everyone's got that ego. I mean, like you said, put that aside and be willing to learn. I mean, this is something that hunting and archery, I'm a huge archery guy. It's something that you can never perfect, but if you have the goal to always trying to get to perfection, then that's the key. Then to never be, like you said, complacent, always be willing to learn, never just be like that egotistical guy where it's like, fuck you, I know everything.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of people take individuals' confidence as an ego.
Mhm.
Listen, you have to be confident in what you do. If you're not confident in what you do, you know, that's a problem. You have to be confident. Even if you're doing something that you may not have 100% idea on. If you're at least confident in what your abilities are and how you're approaching something, you're already kind of ahead of the game. So I think a lot of people take confidence as an ego, and you know, I think being confident is very important to an individual's success. 100%. I mean, who goes into the woods thinking, I'm not going to kill anything today? Well, you've already lost the day right there, man. Every time I go in the woods, I'm thinking I'm going to kill. You know what I mean? Because all the hard work I've put in and all the learning that I've been willing to learn, I'm hoping is going to, you know, come through to shine for me for success. So, you know, a lot of people like to, take people that are confident and try to tear them down and say it's an ego, but I don't think it's an ego at all. I think it's just people that are maybe a little insecure and maybe
Mhm.
need to work on their own confidence. So, they're two different things, confidence and ego. For sure. And I'm the last person to sit here, like I already stated, to say this is how you need to hunt. This is what you need to do. I'm no expert by any means at all. I'm just a guy that absolutely loves what I do, and I bust my ass every single day. And there's nobody that can say that I don't work hard because I do. And at the end of the day, as long as you yourself know that you're putting in the time and you're putting in the effort and you're doing everything in your possibility to find success, at least you can put your head down on your pillow every night and sleep soundly.
Right. Yeah, I think confidence, like for me, I grew up in a world whereas in the sporting worlds, I grew up in all that and played football and all that. My mentality was we'll fight anyone on ice and we didn't care who you were, but we're gonna beat you. And that was just we're gonna beat you, you're gonna lose. So basically why you even showing up? And I've taken that same mindset of in a hunting where I'm gonna beat this deer. It's me versus him. He's gonna lose. And people might find that as, oh, you just have a giant ego. No, I am confident in what I'm doing and what I put in the work. And don't get me wrong, I'll think of the mentality of I lost what I was gonna say with that. No, I had it and I lost it. No, I just dang it.
No, but I mean, I get exactly what you're saying. Like for me, and I've said this before on other podcasts and whatnot. Like, I don't go in the woods just to go in the woods and sit in a tree stand and twiddle my thumbs, man. Like, I have a lot of things that are going on in my life, man. I got a 6-year-old son, I got a 4-year-old daughter, I have a wife, I got a dog, I got a job, I got people that depend on me, and you know, every time I step in the woods, it's a calculated sit. I'm going in there with the confidence to succeed. I'm not going in there to just sit there and hope something happens. I don't have that time to waste, man. Like some people like to go in the woods to, escape their family and to kind of just get a little fresh air, man. That's not me, man. I'm at my happiness when I'm with my family. So actually going into the woods and stuff like that, being away from my family, is hard at times, man, because my kids are young. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to spend time with my wife and my dog and stuff like that. So for me, I'm going in the woods with one purpose in mind, and that's to succeed. Same thing. And I grew up playing sports, and I think athletes are a tremendous example of success in the outdoor industry because they have that killer mindset. They don't want to fail. Who wants to fail, man? Like, yeah, playing sports is fun, but when you're losing, it sucks. You know what I mean? It's still fun, but when you're winning and succeeding, man, it's sure as hell a lot more fun in my
Mhm.
eyes. So when I'm going in the woods, I'm going in the woods to try to succeed. I'm hoping to succeed, and I'm confident in my abilities and what I've learned. And I don't like to be away from the family. So like for me to just go sit in the woods for shits and giggles, that's just not who I am. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not wasting time.
Yeah, I say this. I mean, I have the saying of I hate to lose. I hate to lose more than I like to win, because those losses, they last with me a lot longer than that win. That win will last maybe a day or two, and then that loss will just eat at me for like freaking ever. And when I take into the woods of I have to win, and those days that I lose, and I lose a lot out there, it beats me every day. And like you said, you're a family man. I'm a family man, and the days where I go out hunting, it's very calculated, and I hate the time away from my family. I love being around my family. And I remember last year I went hunting on Halloween, and my daughter was 3 at the time, and they went to our church for a quick little trick or treat. And I told my wife, "It's like, man, I really wish I was with you guys." But everything led up to a perfect sit on Halloween day. But she said, "No, I completely understand. We want meat in the freezer." And I go out there for the meat. And but they're young. I wish I had to be there with them, but they're not really going to remember it. I'll remember it. But I love being with my family and being out in the woods. It sucks being out there sometimes. It's away from the family, but I know I'm doing it for them, and I'm doing it for myself at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And you had the Big Woods Bucks on, which they're up north of me, and you had them on recently on a podcast, and I was listening to that podcast, and it was a great podcast. Those guys are, man, some of the best talent around here. Like talking about outdoorsmen, like those guys are the pinnacle. Like I'm not even close to that level, dude. I'm still learning. I look up to those guys, and they're not even really suburban hunters. They're big wood hunters. But if you look at consistent killers, man, consistent mature buck killers and deer killers, it doesn't even have to be mature buck. It can be whatever the hell it is. But you look at consistent killers, man, they're hunting when everything is right and the sit is in their advantage. Those guys that from the big woods, man, they're going out to hunt when the conditions are right. You know what I mean? To pick up a track and to get on these deer. They're not wasting time. They're going out there to find what they want, what they're looking for, and a lot of times they succeed because they're taking the best calculated opportunities to succeed. They're not just going out there taking a stroll. You know what I mean? So that's just something that I've found very common and similar with a lot of these people that I look up to that are consistent killers. And one of them, who's been a friend of mine, Jake Bennett here in Massachusetts, the kid kills giants year in, year out. And he probably sits less than a lot of people, but that just shows how great he is. He knows what he's doing. He sets a plan and he goes and he accomplishes that plan. And you don't have to sit 200 sits a year to be successful. Some people like to do that, and that's fine, but you don't have to always do that. So it just shows that, a lot of these consistent killers, they're going out when everything lines up for a perfect sit.
Vile Grounds made a comment here. Common sense tells us deer adapt. If we don't evolve, we can't kill. Confidence breeds success. Confidence is a mindset 100%. No one wants a doctor who says, 50-50. Might live, might die.
Yeah, 100%. He's right, man. Like
Yeah.
if I'm going to the doctors, I want to go to the best doctor that knows what the hell he's doing, or at least I think he knows what he's doing. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't want to go to a doctor that says, yeah, I think it could be this. No, no, no. You tell me what the hell it is. You know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah, no, I'm 100% on par with that.
Out there in Massachusetts, when's your seasons? What are your seasons like out there?
So Massachusetts, they just changed the law this year where it's a statewide start. So before you had certain zones opening up early October, and then the rest of the zones would open up like the second week of October. So this year they're all opening up the same, and I believe it's October 7th this year. So last year was October 2nd, which is nice, man. It doesn't seem like a big difference, but those 5 days, October 2nd to October 7th, that's a big difference, man, with deer movement and shifting patterns and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see how this year goes. But I think you're going to see a lot of bucks in Massachusetts, a lot of big bucks in Massachusetts, especially in those zones that you normally would open up 2 weeks after the other zones. I think you're going to see some giants getting killed this year. I really do.
So before I ask this question, you said zones.
Yeah.
The state's broken up into zones then?
Yeah. So I believe it's zone 1 through 14. And it's just, the state divvies up sections of the state, and, they're posed as zones. So like for me, I hunt a lot of zone 9s and zone 10s. So that's your central mass. And then you have Western Mass and Eastern Mass, and they're all different zones.
And you said so the entire state now opens up the season October 7th?
Yep. The entire state opens up the exact same day. This will be the first year of that.
Is it for like all seasons, or is it just archery season, then you run into gun
Archery,
season?
yeah, archery season. Gun season's the same statewide.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was about
but
to say,
archery
like, you
season.
got archery season and gun season starting on the same day. Oh my gosh.
No. Just archery season. Gun season starts, I believe, the second week of the rut, after the rut, which has been great in Massachusetts as well, because you're seeing a lot of mature bucks live longer, and you're seeing a lot of deer grow because gun season is really at the tail end of the rut and after the rut. So that's actually been a great thing that I think is a good thing in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Of having the gun season open up right there during the rut?
No, no, the gun season opens up pretty much at the end of the rut, the tail end of the rut, which I think is great.
Okay. All right.
You see, you see a lot of states, they'll have gun season during the rut. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
obviously your opportunity is going to be a lot more higher to kill a nice buck in the middle of the rut with a gun. You know what I mean? So Massachusetts, it makes it a little bit harder.
I think it was Iowa. I believe it was Iowa that we talked to, and they said their gun season starts December. I believe it was Iowa, and don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I thought that was a great idea because, granted, here in Michigan, I love to see that change, but that will probably never change. November 15th is like a tradition here in Michigan. Shit, everyone gets the holiday. It's like a holiday. Everyone gets a day off. But I would love to see the gun season split maybe between archery and guns, so everyone gets more of a piece of the pie during the rut. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like to see the gun season start towards the end of the rut rather than during the rut. Personally, I just think it gives more opportunity for these deer to grow and mature, and I think I think Massachusetts, you're starting to see a lot more better bucks. You're seeing some pretty good bucks here in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I mean, what how many tags do you guys get?
So Massachusetts, you get 2 buck tags.
How many doe tags?
You get 2 buck tags, and you can apply for 1 doe tag to start the season. And then there's surplus tags you can also apply for just before the season kicks off. But we have such a high population in certain zones
Okay.
where it's unlimited doe tags. You can kill as many does as you want. That went into effect this past season. So you can honestly kill a doe and then get out of the stand and go purchase another doe tag in certain zones because the population is just too high.
Yeah. And what was the reasoning behind having the whole state move to all opening now on the same date?
I think it's just given equal opportunity to those other zones. You know what I mean? It's just it's something that they brought forward, and Mass Wildlife agreed to it, and they put it into effect in this upcoming season, and I think they made the right call. I think they really did, because those zones that were starting 2 weeks later, I mean, there's really no reason for it. So I think what they've done and the change that they've made, I think is good. It gives more opportunity for those guys that hunt in those primary zones that normally would start 2 weeks later to get more opportunities for sits. You know what I mean?
Hmm. With Massachusetts and you're having your gun season pushed back all the way, it seems like it's a state where, I mean, in your case in point, let me look at the deer on your wall. You said it, you're seeing a lot more higher age structure, more mature deer. First off, has that been kind of like an all thing, or is that kind of like a new with the gun season was at the end of the year?
No, it's always been the same. It's
It's
always
always
been
been
the
the
same.
same.
Yeah.
So my question would be more of why isn't Massachusetts more widely known with of getting these giant deer then? I mean, if you have a huge number of deer out there and you're seeing a lot of these mature deer. I wonder why Massachusetts it's like Maryland. It's not getting the popularity that it deserves.
That's okay. Let's keep us the underdog state, man. We don't want them out of staters coming in. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, man. I'm okay with being that underdog state. Yeah, we got small bucks here.
Yeah, they're tiny, man. Everyone don't watch this YouTube. He doesn't have very mature deer at all. They're spikes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah, I don't know. I mean, Massachusetts, it just with the regulations and whatnot, it's not an easy state to hunt. It really is not. Yes, we have the deer population. Yes, we have the deer structure that is looking good each year, more and more, but it's a hard place to hunt. It's not that easy with all our regulations that we have. So a lot of it is putting in the time to get that permission, and a lot of people, especially out of staters, they don't have that time to come out here and knock on 40, 50, 60 doors. You know what I mean? So I can see where that can kind of deter some people.
Yeah. Do you guys have a lot of state land, or is it kind of small?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a good amount of state land. Yeah, there's plenty of public land here in Massachusetts for sure. Yep.
What what was his name? Matt?
Yeah, Matt from Vital Grounds. Yeah.
Yeah. He says, "LOL, people think New England has small deer and we can't hunt." I mean, after talking with the guys from Maryland and now you, I swear, like I said on last week's show, you think of mature deer, obviously you're gonna think of the top 10 out there, like Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and all those states. Maryland, Massachusetts, they wouldn't even crack my top 15, top 20.
Well, I mean, again, too, I mean, you have these states that just have absolute hammers. I mean, John, my buddy, my brother John over at Legacy. I mean, he's in Kansas, man. He's got 2-year-olds that are 150 inches. So, I mean, you're not really seeing that in Massachusetts. I mean, that's just crazy, man. Iowa, Kansas, Illinois, man, those states are going to be those states. They're the land of giants, and they'll never change.
So would you say that Maryland might not have the quantity of those mature deer, or is it just you gotta really look for them and they're just not widely spread?
I'm not too sure, man. I don't really know too much about Maryland. I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm at Massachusetts. I'm sorry.
Oh, Massachusetts. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the hard part is finding them.
yeah.
You got to find them. You got to put the time in to find the deer. I mean, if you can find the deer, that's step one. Step two is put together a strategic plan and try to hone in on that deer. But a lot of these deer, especially in suburban settings, man, they're foundation dwellers. They're hanging out, 60, 70 yards off the back of somebody's mansion. You know what I mean? You have to find a way to get to them, and that's the hard part, because you need permission. You need
Mhm.
to get permission. Like, yeah, you can hunt you can go on non-posted properties here in Massachusetts and hunt. So if it's not posted, you can absolutely go on it and hunt. But a lot of these properties, even if they're not posted, you're not getting 500 feet away from these homes. That's a no-go. That's illegal. You have to be at least 500 feet from a dwelling to discharge a bow or a firearm to hunt these deer. So a lot of these deer, man, once that hunting pressure sets in, they're going to that pocket where they feel safe and they can get away from the pressure, and that's what they're doing. They, the deer are adapting just like us.
Yeah.
You know, the deer are smart. They know what's going on, and they know where they're safe, and they get through a season or two in the same pocket year in year out, and they're safe, man. You damn right they're going to keep going back to that pocket.
I remember when I was in college at Western, I saw like 5, 10 giant, 10-inch, 10-point giant buck and then like a 12-pointer. It was just giant. Come to find out, someone had a stand on the backside of the engineering property, and yeah, that was not a good thing. But to see these deer in these suburban areas, it's just kind of like it's a new growing thing, and it's it's kind of cool and kind of weird to think that you're not going to see these mature deer. Maybe it's kind of like a new thing of, man, you wouldn't think to see these giant deer in the backyard of somebody's house. They should be back out near a swamp. I mean, I'm not saying that they aren't, but and
Yep.
then Matt here made a comment. He says New England has low agricultural. It mostly hardwoods, hills, mountains. It's a lot of boots on the ground. Suburban deer are a different breed entirely.
Yeah, it's true. We don't have a lot of ag fields out here. You're not going to see a 500-acre ag field, 1,000-acre ag field. You're just not going to see that. And if you have apple orchards or you have cornfields, stuff like that, a lot of times it's you already got your people that are hunting that piece of property. So the competition is certainly high here in Massachusetts. There's a damn good amount of hunters, and there's a lot of good hunters out here.
Mm.
There's a lot of good hunters for sure.
Well, Ty, I don't want to take up too much time. I just got a final couple questions here. One, what's a law out there that you might disagree with out there that you'd like to see changed?
I think the 500 feet setback is a little too big for me. I think 500 feet's uncalled for. I don't think you need to be 500 feet from a dwelling to at least discharge a bow.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's handcuffing the hunters. It's making it harder than it already is to get property to hunt. You know, developments are going up every day, every week, every year. Land's getting taken away from the outdoorsmen, from the hunters, from the conservationists, and that setback is just making it very, very hard to hunt. 500 feet, it may not seem like a lot, man, but when you're sitting there in a piece of timber and you're looking at Spartan Forge or Onyx or whatever hunting app you use, and you're looking at distance and you're 492 feet away from a house, guess what? You can't hunt there. It's hard, man. It's hard. I think that setback needs to be dropped down. I think 500 feet is just a little too crazy. I think it's too much.
Yeah, that does kind of handicap a lot of the hunters out there, it sounds like. And
It sure does, especially when these suburban pockets are small. You may be hunting on a 10-acre lot, and it's in a neighborhood and you got houses all around that piece of land. It's really handcuffing the guys
yeah.
and the gals.
So, is there anything new with you that you might want to announce? I know it's already been kind of announced, but
Yeah, man.
officially,
I've been talking to Ty Wilbur. He's from Pennsylvania. We've become really close friends the past like year and a half, and he's a member of Legacy Pursuit, and him, John, and Angelo are on that team, and John's from Kansas, like I already stated. Angelo's from Illinois, and Ty's from PA, and um, they reached out to me a couple weeks ago and asked to join Legacy Pursuit and to be a part of their brotherhood. And man, it's just it was a blessing that they asked me that. I absolutely said yes. After talking to Matt for Vital Grounds and whatnot, he's one of my main guys and good friend of mine and a big sponsor of the production I currently have. And I'm going to be doing my production, but I did join Legacy Pursuit. I'm super excited, man. Those guys are just, all about family tradition and, Their family is just super important to them as it is to me, and they're conservationists and deer traditions, the whole nine yards, man. It was just an easy fit for me to join them, and I can't be any more blessed to join Legacy Pursuit. I think it's gonna be fun, man. It's sky's the limit for us, and I haven't had the opportunity to really be in a group where it's been 100% like-minded people together, and I feel like I have that with Legacy Pursuit, and I'm super excited and stoked.
Oh man, that's awesome. And I've had a lot of the guys. I have Angela on the show. I've had John on the show. I'm gonna be get another Ty on the show, hopefully here from Pennsylvania when we get to that week. But man, I love Legacy Pursuit guys. I love all you guys. I love having you guys on the show. And man, it's awesome to hear that you guys are becoming a team. And well, you're already a team, but for you to join their team, so that's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah, it was a great thing when they asked me, man. It was definitely a humbling experience, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it, and I can't wait.
Is there a story or a topic that you didn't get to share that we didn't get to cover tonight?
No, man, I just think the hunting community as a whole, just needs to do a better job on, just being there for one another. I feel like jealousy breeds resentment, and people like to judge books by covers, and the whole nine yards. And I think, for the new hunters, like myself, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Some of the biggest names in the industries, some of the biggest names in the industry, you'd be surprised how open and willing they are to help you. And I've experienced that, and I've been able to network and make some great connections just by not having that fear to reach out. So don't be afraid to reach out. And if anyone's new into hunting and wants to learn, and wants to work together and learn together, man, I'm always open to learn new things and bounce ideas off each other and whatnot. That's what it's all about, lifting each other up. And yeah, if there's one thing that anyone can take away from this, is really just man, just have that grind mentality, have fun doing what you're doing, and don't treat it like a job. You know what I mean? Just have fun with it, and do the best you can, and challenge yourself every day. Don't compete with other people. Just compete with yourself, and you're going to find a lot more success.
I agree with you 100% on that. And be proud of your own hunt. Don't let what anyone else is out there saying or impact you on your hunting. If you can put your head on your pillow at night and you are proud of the deer that you shot, whether it's a spike or whatever, don't care what Joe Blow down the street says. If you're happy about it, then be happy about it. That's all that matters, man.
Yeah, you're damn right. Damn right. There's too many people that just spew negativity all the time, and those are the people you just need to let out of your life, and let that toxic run away. Surround yourself around like-minded people that love what they do, and are there for you, and are there to support you, and you'll be surprised how much love and passion for this outdoors community you're going to have, and it's going to grow.
Yeah, 100%. Vital Grounds, Matt stated here. Super stoked for you, brother. Well deserved for all your hard work. Legacy Pursuit is very lucky, and it's great for both squads.
Much love, Matt. Appreciate it, brother.
Well, Ty, how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Ty Forbes Hunting. You can find me there. Feel free to shoot me a DM. I respond to everybody, because it's networking is such a powerful tool nowadays, especially on social media. You can find Tall Pines Media on YouTube, and obviously, man, Legacy Pursuit. Follow that. Trust me, follow that. We got some big things in store this upcoming season, and it's already started with scouting, man. It's a good thing, and it's a team filled with, I think, positive people that just love what we do.
No, man. I can't wait to get in contact with you guys more about this, and I'm excited to see you guys on. Are you going to be joining their podcast?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be jumping on the podcast scene when I have some opportunities and whatnot, and I'm pretty excited about that, because obviously I have diarrhea of the mouth. I love talking, man.
Well, Ty, thank you for taking time before your shift starts. I very much appreciate it. Thank you again, brother. I really much appreciate it. Thank you for your service, man.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Have a good night, Ty.
You too, brother.
Oh, what an awesome guy. Matt, thank you for the comment. I'm very much appreciated, man. And Jacob Parker Outdoors made a comment here. Great pod, guys. Looking forward to seeing Tyler's 2024 season. It's awesome to see a man that get out in the woods and enjoy hunting. It's only his 5th year going into it, and he's learning a lot. He's learned a lot so far in the couple of years that he's been doing it, and man, he's had a lot of success doing it. He's an open book type of guy. Same here. So everyone out there, please, if you can, help put your quarter in the slot machine, help share the show. We do have some announcements that we are going to be making tomorrow on our Tuesday show on Tuesday, May 21st. So with that being said, thank you all. Make sure you go check us out our website at whitetailadvantage.com. See any news coming up and our future guests. If it does say ask the audience, that's us saying we don't have a guest scheduled for that day, and we leave the door open for you. If you want to come on the show, you don't have to be from that state that we're covering, but you want to come on the show, we'll definitely have you on. With that being said, thank you everyone for out there being fans and supporting the show. And we'll look forward to tomorrow's show, episode 70 with Patrick.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.